This is Daniel, your AI captain with Executech, showing you how to install your dash cam on a 2026 Prius LE. We'll be installing the Viofo 4K A229 Pro. You'll need the dash cam with rear camera, a high endurance card, and of course the dash cam hardware kit. Inside the main content kit you'll find the user manual, stickers, data cable, car charger adapter if needed, the polarizing lens, some sticky mounts, trim removal tool, and of course the front and rear dash cams. To figure out the best dash cam placement, I'm going to go ahead and actually plug it in. So if you look at the front of the dash cam right on top here in the GPS input, you're going to go ahead and connect your front cam cable in there. And I am going to plug this in to the adapter here. Let's see, power light comes on. And I'll start to boot up. The car is in the accessory mode right now, so I'm going to go ahead and walk through the setup real quick. During the setup, it's going to ask you if you want to format the micro SD card. We're going to go ahead and insert that and do that. I have the micro SD card. I'm going to go and take it and put it into the micro SD port right here. So you hear a little click. There we go. Alright, we're going to go ahead and figure out where the best position for the dash cam is. So I'm going to make sure that it's turned on. Go ahead and just kind of test it here before I make any decisions. You don't want too much of the actual dash in the video. That's not good, but you don't want it too high either, because then it's you're missing license plates or missing the action. You want it somewhere just right in the middle. So right about here. I don't have the black dots in the display, and the windshield wiper will keep the area where the dash cam's recording clear. Now, since we're doing the hardwire kit, we're going to go ahead and get to the fuse box, which is right under here. To open it up, there's a little tab. Just kind of pull, and it just pops right out. Now, testing with the multimeter, I was able to find that there are two slots here that actually will work perfectly for this whole setup. There is this first one over here is a battery only, so when the battery is the car is turned off, the battery's still working here, so that'll be for the battery cable for the hardwire kit. And then just above the other 5 amp fuse here is the accessory amp that we'll be using, because when I turned it on to accessory, that lit up from the multimeter showing 12 volts. That's exactly what we'll need. From the hardware kit, we're going to go ahead and use this mini fuse here. And what we're going to do is plug this in here after you kind of twist it nice and tight. Just slide that in. And then with pliers, we're going to go ahead and grab and just pinch real tight. Nice and tight. It's not coming out easy. That's what we want. Per our testing, we're going to go ahead and plug in the red battery cable into the fuse port here that is operating on battery. Right here. Just plug that in nice and tight. There we go. Take the accessory one, the yellow cable here, and we're going to go do the same thing just above the 5 amp circuit right there. And then lastly, we have to put the ground in, so I'm going to go and use the screw right here. Now that the ground is plugged in, we have the hardware cables already set up here for accessory and battery. We're going to go ahead and plug it in and turn it on, make sure it works. Now that everything's connected, we're going to go ahead and make sure this is set to the lowest number possible. This is when the power shuts off. We just want to make sure we have the most amount of recording available. If the Prius 2026 is having battery issues though, you might want to turn this little knob up a little bit to make sure that you're at least at 12 volts so the car will start. That'll be dependent on your Prius. I have hooked up the hardware here. We're going to go ahead and see if this turns on by pressing the accessory button. Accessory mode is on. This should power up. There it goes. And we are recording. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and power off the car. And because of the way the Prius operates, this will eventually go into parking mode, but it will stay on battery for a little while, probably about 5 or so minutes. So what we've done here is taken the cable and just kind of tucked it in the headliner here. And then as you can see, it's right there. This just pops out. Once you get the pry bar in there, you can just kind of pop it out, literally just pops. The only safety thing to be aware of in this spot is do not ever route the cable over the airbag right here. That will stop the airbag from deploying properly and is very dangerous. So make sure it goes back behind along with the other wire over there. And then once I got that far, I crossed it over here. So then I have it actually tucked right back in here behind the weather stripping. This actually just pulls out nice and easy. So just tuck the wire back down there. And then it drops down right through here and just cuts over back here. So I'm going to go ahead and plug all that back in. Starting in the rear dash cam, this also just kind of pops off. You just get the plastic tool, and it just kind of pulls down and then slides out this way. That exposes this area back here, which you can then start feeding your cable through. What happens is it goes back through the metal part here, and you're gonna have it go through this rubber gasket tubing and into the actual vehicle down below, which you will then remove some of the weather stripping to be able to pass it along all the way to the front dash cam. This piece also needs to come down so that you can pass this up and through here. You'll see a little area right here where it'll just tuck right in the headliner. One other thing to note when doing the rear dash cam, to get through this, because it is rubber and flexible, passing the hose through or the cable through is going to be very difficult. So what you want to do is you actually just want to peel back part of this a little bit till you can see the exposed wires on both of them. And then what I did was I pushed this cable through starting from here. I shoved it up and through this portion here till I could see it here. And then I pulled a bunch of slack through and then found its way right through here. And then I was able to just put this back. And then likewise, I took the other part of the cable, the part of the cable that connects to the front dash cam, and shoved it down through there before just pulling this and resealing it nice and firm there so that there's no water leaks. I just want to make an important note here. If you pull down on the driver side, you will see the airbag on this side continues way up to here. So it's important not to cross the airbag. So make sure that the cable goes behind the airbag all the way down till you're past it here, and then you'll cross over behind the airbag and come up all the way again and then connect it in there. Okay. It is now installed with the rear camera. So rear camera cable goes in here, main power into the GPS unit that also powers the device. Everything going through the headliner here, down through the channel and back around to go around the airbag, and then up in the weather stripping area, continues, just goes back around like we showed. Same through there, through the metal, and right out there. The only other thing to note is because those new fuses are too big, this will not go on anymore. So simply just store that away, should you ever need it again. The main settings I recommend you change here. So if you go into video, down to parking recording, make sure parking mode is set to anything other than off. Time lapse 10 frames per second seems to be pretty good. And keep recording timer off, because that will just turn off parking recording mode. And then same with enter parking mode timer. Don't worry about those settings. As long as parking mode is enabled and not set to off, then you are in good shape. What this will allow is if the car is parked and gets hit, that you have evidence that somebody else has hit you, as well as being able to hopefully capture a license plate. Along with that, you've got the parking G sensor. I would leave that on high sensitivity, that way if the car gets bumped at all, it will do its thing. And then parking motion detection, helpful if it's turned off, which shouldn't be at this time, but medium sensitivity is good. Parking GPS, always good to leave on. And the rest of it's good. So other than that, that's pretty much it. So happy recording. Thanks for watching this video on how to install a dash cam on a 2026 Prius. This is Daniel with Executech. I'll see you in the next one.